The very first thing of this chapter is sensation. Sensation refers to the immediate response of our sensory receptor to basic stimuli. Perception is the process by which people select and organize and interpret the sensation. Our brain receives external stimuli and on a number of data channels, and the input are raw data that begin the perceptual process. Sensory data can generate internal sensory experiences. Marketers' messages are more effective when they appeal to several senses. In a recent study, one group read an ad copy for a potato chip, describe its taste, whereas the other has ads like describe about the taste, the smell, and the texture. And at the end, the second group came away thinking that the chip would taste better than the first one. Each product unique sensation qualities help it to stand out in the market, especially if the brand creates a unique association with the sensation. About sensory marketing, one thing that has great effect is vision. Marketers rely heavily on visual elements in the advertising like story side and packaging. They communicate through the meanings of the visual channel. One example is Starbucks. It is said not only because of the taste or the quality of the beverage, but also the story side. In a world filled with busy and stressful men, Starbucks aims to create the top place between the home and the workplace so that people can get their personal time and relax with their friends. Color might even influence our emotion more directly. For example, blue might create the relaxed feelings. Some reaction to color come from one association. For instance, in the Western country, black stands for mourning, but in the Eastern one, especially in Japan, it is white. There are gender differences in color preferences. People associate darker color with male and lighter color with female. The choice of a color palette is a key issue in packaging design. Some color combination is so strongly associated with corporation that they become known for this and become easy trade dress, and court may even change the exclusive use for the company to access to this color. Fashion trends strongly influence our color preferences. Design do not happen by accident. A handful of firms in the market produce a color that manufacturer and retailer buy so that they can be sure to stock up for the next season. Color and scent is also a key contributor to the sensory marketing. Although in some emotion create a calm feeling, they invoke the memory or release the stress. This form of sensory marketing takes interest, turn the manufacturer to find new way to put scent in the product. Some of our response to scents result from early associations that cause a good or bad feeling. And this explains why business explore connection among smell and mood. One factor I want to mention here is sound. Music and other sound affect people's feelings and behavior. When people drink beer and listen to music that consistent with brand identity, they enjoy the beverage more. Some marketers who come up with brand names pay attention to sound too. The process by which the way a word sound influence our assumption about what it describes an attribute. For example, consumers are more likely to recognize the brand name that begins with the hard consonant IP, stand for Pepsi. Also have a tendency to soft the object. The touchscreen on the computer, the ATM machine is a natural role of the user interface. It seems that encouraging shoppers to touch the product gives them the feeling to imagine that they are their own, and researchers know that people value the things that are their own the most. This is known as the endowment effect. Researchers are also starting to identify the important role of the haptic sense to play in the consumer behavior. Some Japanese companies take the idea a step further with the practice of kansei engineering, a philosophy that translates customer feeling into design element. Moreover, our taste receptor contribute to our experience. Many products, so-called flavor houses, develop a new concoction to please the changing palates of consumer. A growing recognition that eating more complicated multisensory experience than just stuffing some Oreo down your throat, launching a new field study called gastrophysics. The science of eating consider how physics, chemistry, perception influence how we experience what we put in our mouth. Augmented reality or AR refers to the media that superimpose one or more digital layer, data, images, or video over a physical object. AR app opened a new world of information and also marketing communications. The explosion of visual reality (VR) technology in the consumer market also driving the integration between physical sensation and digital information. Unlike AR, VR provide a totally immersive experiences that transport user to entire separate 3D environment. The three states of the perception, including exposure, attention, and interpretation. At stage 1, exposure occurs when a stimuli comes within the range of some body sensory receptors. Consumer concentrates on some stimuli and unaware of the other and even go out the way to ignore some messages. Sensory threshold is a point at which it is strong enough to make a conscious impact on the customer awareness. The science of psychological focus on how people integrate the physical environment into their personal subjective worlds. The absolute threshold refers to the minimum amount of stimulation a person can detect or given to the sensory channel. In contrast, the differential threshold refers to the ability of a sensory system to detect changes in all differences between two stimuli. In the 19th century, a psychophysicist named Ernst Weber found that an amount of change required for the perceiver to notice a change related to the intensity of original stimulus. The stronger the initial stimulus, the greater the change must be first noticed. This is known as the Weber law. Most marketers want to create a message above the consumer threshold so that they will notice them. Subliminal perception refers to the stimulus below the level of consumer awareness. Subliminal messages can influence people under specific conditions. Here are other discouraging factors. There are individual differences in threshold levels. Advertisers' lack of control over consumer distance and position from a screen, and the viewer must pay absolute attention to the stimulus. And finally, even if the advertiser induces the desired effect, it only works for a shallow level.
In the next stage of forming the perception, which is stage 2, attention. Attention is the content to which processing activities is devoted to one particular stimulus, and this can vary from characteristic of the stimulus itself or the status of ourselves. There is one more definition, which is sensory overload, which refers to the state of being overwhelmed by information, and the competition for attention nowadays has become intense more than ever, that some marketers had referred the market as an eyeball economy. Mindfulness appears as a solution to the status of the overwhelming information, tuning out distraction and encourage us to stay in the moment and feel what I feel at the time. And mindfulness has become an industry since there are a lot of products are created in the name of mindfulness that expected to enhance people's life quality and mental state also. It is more and more difficult to attract youngsters' attention nowadays, and it is no strange to witness a youngster switching among tablets or websites or doing many things at the same time, which is considered multitasking. Multitasking attend in modern life as a very common practice, and it has a lot of influence on the way that we behave and the trait of our behavior. Multitasking reduce our ability to engage in long thought process and the ability to focus on one thing at a time, because multitasking making us switching, being exposed to many stimuli continuously in a period of time, which provoke our brain to secrete the hormone dopamine, which is addictive and appealing us to go into the circle of continuously switching gadgets and information and websites to create better sense of satisfaction. However, multitasking also help us better our ability to find information and processing more information at the same time. Technology has rewired our brain to pay attention to more stimuli and shifting attention continuously. Due to the appearance of huge amount of information, consumer and people are being more selective to what stimuli they would pay attention to, and there are a lot of factors to motivate this action that we could figure out on the next part. Coming to the personal selection factors, there are factors that are noticeable, that are perceptual vigilance, that indicate our feelings to aware to the things that suit our needs at the time, and the perceptual defense that make us tend to ignore and pass by the information that we don't want to see. There's also one concept that we also should notice is adaptation. Adaptation portrays the degree that how we notice to stimulus would change over time. There's a lot of factors lead to adaptation, which is the intensity of the products, for example, the discrimination, which is how detailed they are, the exposure of us to them over time, and the relevance of the information that are added to the stimulus. Each characteristic would convey a message that marketers have to pay attention to these in order to utilize them and have better chance to cut through the clutter to gain attention towards their products. There are many factors that we can consider of a stimulus, like size, color, position of the information that are placed, and the novelty also. Novelty is the way that stimuli appear in a very unexpected way and grab our attention, such as how advertisements are conducted on deserts. Novelty in the form of interaction also intensify our experience because it amplifies the displays of unpleasant experience. One more factor that contributes to the selection of consumer attention to stimuli must be the characteristic of the stimulus. For example, and the final stage of forming a perception is interpretation. Interpretation is the meaning that we assign to certain stimuli. It is usually depends on our socialization within a society that vary from culture to language and also our system of belief. And it is very crucial for marketing department to pay attention to identifying and evoking the right schema for that we would ensure that we convey the right thing for a customer to evaluate our products, our package, or the message that the products convey. Stimulus organization is the field of semiotics that help us to understand how marketers use symbol to convey meanings. And in general, it is reported that we tend to project our own desire and assumption into the meaning of the stimuli. Regarding the interpretational bias, it is indicated that our brain tend to relate incoming sensation to others that already exist in our mind, and they tend to interpret the meaning of the totality of a set of stimuli rather than parts by part. And there are three theories to indicate the way that our brain organize stimuli. The first one is closure principle, which to refer to the ability of completing the incompleted stimuli that we receive. The second one is the similarity principle, which shows that our brain would automatically relating and connect those who have similar characteristics to each other. And the last one is figure route principle, which indicate that there would be one part of the stimulus would stand out of the more.
Moving to perceptual positionings. So, perceptual positionings refer to how customers interpret and perceive a brand based on its functional and symbolic attributes. It involves understanding how customers think about competing brands and using this insight to develop a positioning strategy. This strategy utilizes elements of the marketing mix, such as product design, price, distributions, and marketing communications. The process of learning involves acquiring knowledge, skill, attitude, or behavior through experience, study, or teaching. There are various theories of learning that explain how individuals learn and process information. Overall, learning is a complex process. Understanding how individuals learn can help marketers develop effective strategies to shape customer behavior and create positive associations with the brands. Particularly, the theories we will be discussions today are classical conditioning, instrumental conditioning, observational learning, and the concept of gamification. As aforementioned, behavioral learning theories focus on how external events and stimuli influence learning and behavior. These theories emphasize the role of conditioning and reinforcement in shaping behavior. Classical conditioning is a type of learning where a neutral stimulus is paired with an unconditioned stimulus to elicit a conditioned response. Stimulus generalization occurs when positive associations with a brand or company name are used to create desirable associations and others' product. Instrumental conditioning, also known as operant conditioning, involves learning to perform behavior that produce positive outcomes and avoid those that yield negative outcomes. Reinforcement play a crucial role in this process, such as fixed interval, variable interval, fixed ratio, and variable ratio can influence the strength and persistency of learned behaviors. Observational learning occurs when individuals learn by watching others and noting the reinforcement they receive for their behaviors. Marketing applications of classical conditioning principle involves creating a distinctive brand image and linking a product to an underlying need. The transfer of meanings from an unconditioned stimulus to a conditioned stimulus explains why brand names like Marlboro, Coca-Cola, or Adidas have powerful effect on customer. For example, the Marlboro Man and the cigarette have such a strong associations that the brand name is often omitted in advertisement featuring the cowboy. Additionally, marketers can use classical conditioning to create positive association with their product by pairing them with desirable stimuli. For example, a perfume company can create positive association by showing a woman receiving compliments after wearing their fragrance. Stimulus discriminations is another marketing application of classical conditioning. Marketers can encourage customers to avoid cheap imitations by highlighting the differences between their brand and similar, lower quality product. This helps customers make the associations between the desired brand and desired outcome. Overall, classical conditioning principle can be used by marketers to create strong brand association, reinforce desired behavior, and differentiate their product from competitors.
Another very similar approach is the marketing application of stimulus generalization. Stimulus generalizations involve leveraging positive association with a brand or company name to create desirable associations with other products. By using the established brand equity and reputation, marketers can extend the brand's reach into new product categories and increase consumer acceptance and preference. Application of stimulus generalization is much like conditioned product association, one of which is family branding, where a company uses its corporate image to sell a variety of product lines. This strategy allows consumers to transfer their positive associations with the company to different products, increasing the likelihood of purchase and brand loyalty. Another application is the product line extension. By leveraging the existing brand associations, marketers can create a sense of familiarity, trust with the new product, making it easier for consumers to try and accept them. Licensing is also a marketing application of stimulus generalization, where companies rent well-known names to transfer the positive associations. This strategy allows marketers to capitalize on established brand equity and reputation of the licensed brand, increasing consumer trust and preference for the new product. Next, we will talk about marketing applications of repetition. Marketing applications of repetition involve using repeated exposures of marketing communications to reinforce brand associations and increase brand recall. Research suggests that repetition increases the strength of stimulus response associations and prevents the decay of these associations in memory. Repetition is used to create awareness of a product, demonstrate its relevance to the consumer, and remind them of its benefits. Marketers often repeat advertising messages to ensure that consumers are exposed to the stimulus a sufficient amount of time to make it memorable. However, it is important to find the right balance, as excessive repetition can lead to advertising wear out and consumer fatigue. The effectiveness of repetition can be influenced by factors such as intervals between exposures and the type of media used. Spaced exposures that alternate between more and less evolving media, such as television advertising, complemented by print media, have been found to be more effective. Repetition can also help in creating and perpetuating brand equity, where a brand has strong positive association in a consumer's memory and commands loyalty. Many classic advertising campaigns consist of product slogans that are repeated so often that they become deeply ingrained in consumers' minds. However, repetition alone may not be sufficient. Marketers need to ensure that the repetition is accompanied by variations in message to maintain consumer interest and attention. Additionally, the effectiveness of repetition can be influenced by factors such as relevance to the ad and the presence of competing ads. Overall, repetition is a powerful marketing tool that can reinforce brand associations and increase brand recall and create brand equity. Another marketing application of choice is the marketing application of conditioned product associations, which include strategies such as family branding, product line extension, and licensing. Family branding involves leveraging the positive reputation of a company name to sell a variety of product lines. For example, Campbell's, Heinz, and General Electric use their corporate image to sell different products. Product line extension involves adding related products to an established brand. This allows companies to capitalize on existing brand association and expand their product offerings. Examples including Dole introducing refrigerated juices and juice bars, and Sun-Maid going from raisins to raisin bread. Licensing is also another strategy where companies rent well-known names to transfer the positive association they forged to other products. For instance, Zippel's manufacturing company, known for its lighters, markets a man's fragrance. These marketing strategies capitalize on the conditioned associations consumers have with a particular brand. By leveraging these associations, marketers can create a positive perception of new products or extend the brand's reach into different product categories. Another concept of learning is instrumental conditioning, also known as operant conditioning. It's a type of learning where individuals learn to perform behaviors that produce positive outcomes and avoid those that yield negative outcomes. This learning process is influenced by reinforcement, which can be positive or negative. The effectiveness of instrumental conditioning is influenced by different reinforcement schedules, including fixed intervals, variable interval, fixed ratio, and variable ratio. These schedules can impact the strength and persistence of learned behavior. Overall, instrumental conditioning is a valuable tool for marketers to shape consumer behavior by providing positive reinforcement and incentives that encourage desired actions and discourage undesirable behaviors.
Gamification, the differential for learning applicants. Gamification involved incorporating game elements such as rewards, competition, and feedback into non-game contexts to make them more engaging and motivating. Gamification can enhance motivation and engagement in the context of learning, education, training, and professional development. People have explained that cognitive learning emphasizes the importance of internal mental process and problem solving. Gamification can provide opportunities for learners to do so by actively engaging users in problem solving tasks, receive immediate feedback, and reinforce their learning through rewards and achievements. And overall, gamification is a powerful tool for enhancing learning experience. When studying about the learning theories, psychologists not only studying about behavioral learning theories but also focus on the cognitive learning theories. And cognitive learning theories views people as problem solvers who actively use the information from the world around them to master the environment. And opposite to behavioral learning theories, cognitive learning theories emphasize the importance of mental process, and supporters of the view also stress the role of creativity and insights during this learning process. And coming to the first part, which is observational learning. Observational learning occurs when people watch the action of others and note the reinforcement they receive for their behaviors. And observable learning occurs as a result of indirect experience. And it is a very complex process. And we're also coming to the definition of modeling. Modeling is the process of imitating the behavior of others, and it is a powerful form of learning, and the modeling process can have a negative effect. So, four requirements marketer would meet in order for observational learning to occur, which are attention, retention, production process, and motivation. So, coming to the marketing application of cognitive learning theories, it is said that observational learning make the life of marketer become much easier, and consumer evaluations of the people they model is a complex combination. And in general, the degree to which a person imitates someone else depend on the model levels of social attractiveness, such as physical appearance, expertise, or the similarity to the evaluator. Is learning conscious or not? Whether people are aware of their learning behavior has always been a controversial topic, and until now, there has not been any official authentication of the true impact of non-conscious processing and priming. And there are two main ideas. Behavioral learning theories emphasize the routine, automatic nature of conditioning, and they believe that routine to react to the stimuli based on category that have existed in us rather than making effort to create a new one. And cognitive learning theories argue conditioning occurs based on cognitive factors, and subject develop concept hypotheses and then act on them.
In my part, I will introduce you about how do we learn to be a consumers and also about our memory. Did you remember how did you buy something when you were just a child? Maybe this is not a very hard question. However, we would never think carefully about it, right? So in this part, we will learn about how do we learn to be a consumer, and this session will introduce you how kids build a consuming behavior and which factors directly and indirectly affect this process, and parents, television and internet, message comprehension and cognitive development are four main factors related to consumer socialization. Memory is the storage of learned information. The way we encode information when we perceive it determines how we will store it in our memory. And the memory system we call sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. It plays a role in retaining and processing information from the outside world in marketing strategies. And marketers also rely on customer retain information they collect about products and services.
What makes us forget? Memory theorists explain that forgetting as a result of decay and interference, which can hinder the retrieval of information. Interference effects can explain difficulty in recalling brand information. especially when attributes are organized by brain or when combining associations are triggered by brain names. Solutions to this are state-dependent retrieval, as we are more likely to recall if our mood or level of arousal of at that time exposure is similar to that in the purchase environment. Also, the familiarity and recall and salience and recall, and including the viewing context and pictorial versus verbal cues. So, how do we measure consumer recall on marketing message? Marketers often invest heavily on advertising with the hope that consumer will remember their message. So, is the solution to this? According to consumer behavior of Solomon, reconnaissance versus recall can help to enhance consumer rememberability. Reconnaissance is when viewers are asked for if they've seen this ad before, and recall involves remembering the ads independently. Reconnaissance is more reliable and lasts longer. Additionally, problem exploiting the problems with memory measures are also used to enhance the consumer memory. Also, the memory lapse and including omitting facts, averaging experience, and inaccurately recalling time periods. This exaggerating progress toward a goal just to justify current indulgence. Documenting process is crucial to stay on track. Exploiting the marketing power of nostalgia. Marketers tap into nostalgia by reviving treasure items from the past like denim clothing in the 90s and edible cookie dough. Nostalgia is an emotion that combines longing and sadness when reflecting on the past, and advertisers use reference to the good old days to evoke these feelings to consumer.